Hey guys, welcome to Stock Talk on June 7th. It's currently 5:06 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you once again for visiting my channel. Like and subscribe to these videos if you do find it helpful. I read every single comment. I read your comments from yesterday, from today, and they were all very informative, right? In one way or another, it's your opinion and it's our opinion. It's our joint effort we put together to make the good moves, the good entries, the good exits. So thank you once again, and keep posting those tickers and comments on the video. So let's look at SPY on the 180-day chart. So here we are. We said that the blue line is supposed to act as a resistance. Okay, so the blue line was actually situated around 277.56. I moved it a little higher. You know, it doesn't really matter where the resistance is. It can be a little higher than where I initially put it or a little lower. But the market told us today that, okay, the resistance is around 278. So I just moved it a little like 30, 40 cents higher. Here's the resistance, 278. That's where the market told us where the resistance was. So we predicted that we would act, there would be some resistance today. And sure enough, there was some resistance. So no surprise there, right? And you guys, some of you guys were talking about, let's take a look at volatility today. I'm going to be keeping track of volatility because there's a resistance at the area. So we're going to talk about TVIX in a moment, but if you were able to take an intraday play on volatility, I think that was a great job on your part. So here's SPY on the 180-day chart. There's a support at 274.25. There's a resistance at 278. And looking at what happened today, here we are, the last 4-hour candle. Here's the 20 EMA line. Sure, we did come down, got rejected at the resistance. However, we managed to test the 20 EMA and bounce off. There's two scenarios that can be forming in the next few days. Okay, I'll give you guys the two scenarios that I'm looking at in the near future. The first scenario is we come off the blue line, we start consolidating in another bull flag pattern over here. Okay, between the resistance and the support. Okay, and then we have another push higher. The second is we start gapping up after market today and pre-market over the resistance line of 278, in which point we can expect a resistance around $280. So those are the two scenarios I'm looking at right now. But for today, at least this intraday candle that was formed, it looks pretty bullish because we kept over the 20 EMA. We're pretty much at the resistance again, and we want to follow the trend. So you might be asking, well, Kevin, what can I do right now? Am I supposed to take a position that follow the markets? Should I take a position in TVIX? So let's focus on the big picture right now, because I just gave you two scenarios that kind of do opposite things. The big picture is we're bullish, right? We pulled over the red line, the lower high line. It's acted as a support. We consolidated. We formed another bull flag. We're on a bullish streak. If anything, we should be taking a position that follows the markets when the markets are dropping, right? When the markets are dropping, we wait for the bottom to come out. We take that entry position into the markets because we know that we're bullish. If you can imagine SPY, we're only at 278 right now. Can you imagine numbers like 280, 285, 290 in the next month or next few months? Certainly possible given our reversal. So just try to imagine 1 month from now, 2 months from now, where we are. Even if you don't get in the best position now, you should be in a good position coming soon or in the future. So let's take a look at TVIX, or volatility, on the 180-day chart. And this is what I was talking about. I'm going to show you that on the 1-minute chart. This is where we could have taken a position on volatility, right? When we started the day, we talked about a resistance at 277.60, around that area, I think. And here we are, right? We could have taken a position here because we know that there's supposed to be some sort of resistance, and you guys might have sold here, okay? I wouldn't have blamed you if you bought in around entry here, sold around here, and made your stop loss lower here. I wouldn't have blamed you in that case. But riding it all the way to the top, how did you know that was the top? Well, let's look at the 5-day, 5-minute chart. Can you see that this was the top? You actually can't really see why this was the top, right? Even if this low point, it might have acted as a resistance. You could have said that, but it wasn't that definitive. So you wouldn't know where to sell, which is why for volatility, when the markets are more bullish, we expect volatility to pull down. So if you're starting to make a profit, let's say 1, 2, 3% on volatility, it's good enough to go out as a day trade, in my opinion, because volatility tends to fall. So here we are, TVIX did this pattern, and now on the 180-day chart, we pretty much got rejected at the 20 EMA. We do expect this to keep coming down, even though it might start consolidating a little bit at this area. Eventually, we expect this to go down below $4. So that's what I'm looking at for volatility. Let's take a look at crude oil futures /CL. Okay, so /CL, we have a different outlook this time. Okay, so /CL, we know that it's broken below its major support of around $66. However, we also managed to realize that we have a double bottom, in this case, around 64.64, and now we're retesting the resistance. This seems to be a more bullish case for crude oil. Now, what is really going to matter is what happens in the next few hours. Today, tomorrow, are we able to pull above this resistance area? If we're able to pull above this resistance area, we can again say that crude oil is bullish once again, because crude oil, if it pushes over the major resistance area, which has acted as a resistance in the past, then crude oil is definitely bullish in my opinion, and the potential for it to reach its previous high of 67.71, the resistance at 69.28 are all reachable at that point if we do manage to cross this resistance line. So I'm looking for a position now, which has changed from yesterday because of today's crude oil bullish streak, into GUSH as well as UWT that follows crude oil. So yeah, so we're looking for this to continue to push higher. That's what I'm looking for. This looks like a nice bottom, double bottom right now. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about UWT. So here's the UWT, right? Pretty much follows /CL, and you guys can see that finally, right, after a long time, crude oil managed to pull over the 20 EMA. So this is one that if you wanted to go in right now, I wouldn't blame you. I think this is a good entry point. Looking at this, you can see that we did a double bottom here, went back up. Double bottom here, went over the 20 EMA, right? So one thing that, yeah, here's GUSH, right? Here's GUSH. We know that GUSH has a support around 33.38, and look how we bounced off of it once, did kind of a semi-double bottom, and now we're coming back up. Where did we go to? The blue line, $38.97, $39, which has acted as a previous resistance. This is a 50 SMA. Are we going to get over it? Well, that depends on /CL and among other things, right? So we do expect crude oil to kind of start pushing higher, possibly even breaking that resistance given that double bottom. So that's what we're looking for. /NG really has not changed. The prospect of natural gas has been bullish for the past month, and you guys can see higher highs, higher lows, and we said that if you wanted to take a position, if you're a little more, lax in terms of where you want to take a position, you don't have to take a position down here at 2.821. You can take a position around here when we were doing a double bottom. Here's that 2.889. If you did, UGAZ or UGAZ went up 3% today, so not too bad if you were able to take that position at the bottom. Now, when it was rising, I hope you weren't taking that position near here, right? Because if you took a position when natural gas was near the top, any point from here to here would not be wise, right? Because you're testing the resistance and you don't want to take a position at the top. So here we are, and natural gas is once again coming down just a tad bit. So I'm not looking for a natural gas position until where? Until we get back to this point, 2.829. That's where I like to take the UGAZ position. Here's UGAZ on the 180-day chart, right? Peak to peak to peak. Where do you think we're going to go to? Pretty much back out to the support, right? 62.98 perhaps. So that's where you can take that position once it gets around $2.30 lower. Taking a look at /GC or gold futures, really gold hasn't been doing anything. So the forecast has not changed from the 2 days ago, from last week, to this week. Gold is simply consolidating horizontally. You can argue for a more bearish streak because of the lower highs. At the same time, you can say, oh, look, we're heading back up. It's more bullish. But regardless, we talked about how the potential for profit, right, from here to here is not there. We're in the middle of a channel. We don't see this as a very strong support. It's just like a support that the market's made up. We know that this is a resistance, but either way, you can imagine JNUG and JDST are not very good plays right now. They're not moving, and so no point in going to any of those ETFs right now. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments. Oh, I want to visit a couple of tickers before we go to your comments. The first one being Tesla. We talked about Tesla on the 3-year chart doing a bull flag pattern, right? We were looking how it would mimic AMD, if or when it would mimic AMD and start breaking out. And if we do start closing above the 330 mark, I do expect a breakout to perhaps start occurring. So, but we have to close at least on a daily basis, on a weekly basis for sure at 330. Then I would be definitely more bullish. But right now, what happened to Tesla? We're looking at the bull flag pattern breaking down once again. We hit the 330, but got rejected right at 330. Was that a surprise? Hopefully it wasn't. You know, markets like to test the previous resistance areas, 330, and now we're back down to 316. So can Tesla get back up there and retest the resistance? Of course, you guys can see that on the 180-day chart. It's done that multiple times, right? Test a resistance, went over the resistance, but didn't really matter, came back down, right? So we can expect it to push back to 320, 324 area. Is just, you know, if this is not going to break out the first time, it's not going to break out the second time, at some point we expect it to come down because it's just the flag pattern continuation and, you know, back to 200 and something dollars. So that's why I'm looking out for Tesla. What is another thing that I'm talking to you guys about? I think that's it. So let's take a look at your comments. Hey, Giants. Yeah, so hey, Kevin, I got out of drip at 725 yesterday. I bought again a short time later at 719. I hope I made a good move, but today it went down big time. Yeah, so this goes to the fact that it made that double bottom and it was able to recover. So yeah, so 4/CL, we were looking at this one, right? Actually, for drip and gush, you can imagine gush has been more bullish for the past, at least not in the past month, but like it has been bullish generally speaking because it follows SPSIOP or the exploration products, right? You guys can see that this is a very bullish pattern, even though we've came down, right? We never broke below the support 61.05, and I was looking for it to continue going downwards. Instead, it made a double bottom, and at that point, you can imagine I told you guys I sold all my drip shares yesterday when the news came out, the inventory reports came out. So just be on the lookout that crude oil, right? What's it forming in terms of exploration? It's almost like a bull flag pattern, right? Bull flag pattern. We expect another leg up. So just be a little cautious, Giants, while you're in drip. Okay. Jurisin, I hope so I said your name right. DSLV, please. Okay. Here we are, DSLV. So, all right. So here's DSLV. Horizontal pattern, sure. That's number one. I like it because it's horizontal, but however, we're on the downtrend, and because we've broken this horizontal pattern all of a sudden, we expect this to, at the very least, have a support where we are right now, 22.57. But a more conservative play would be perhaps something like this. Wait for it to dip a little lower and see what happens. That number is 21.88. Let's look at the 1-year chart really quick. Okay, same thing. 3-year chart. Yeah, so right now on the weekly basis, it just certainly does not look good for this one. And I would wait for it to get to the bottom around 21.88 before considering to buy in. Especially when we're under the 20 EMA. Yes, we've sort of recovered a little bit today, but doesn't matter because we can still get rejected and come back down. So that's where I'm looking for DSLV, but not something I would actively invest in right now. Samuel, hey, Thanks, Kevin. Really didn't expect that AMD can be interested you this much. Okay, so yeah, actually remind me, let's talk a little bit about AMD before I get to your ticker. AMD went down 5% today. Remember in our, so I told you guys I took a position on AMD yesterday, but I sold it this morning because you can imagine when we were starting dropping and we didn't recover, I sold it at 1270 because look how we got rejected the 20 EMA every single time. So if you do see some sort of this pattern, you should not be holding AMD given that it's been running so heavily, right? But in the stock content video, we talked about what position to look for when we're taking a position on AMD, right? We showed you this pattern, the bull flag pattern right here, and we boxed in this area. What happened in these 2 weeks, or these few weeks? AMD went back to the 20 EMA, retested, bounced off, kept going up. Where's our 20 EMA right now? It's down here, right? Should be at 1275. We're waiting for this candle to come down, 1275, or next candle, next few weeks, come down, 1275, $13, perhaps even perhaps a little higher than that, who knows, where the 20 EMA is, and then take that position for that continuation up. If you didn't catch it the first time, I wouldn't want to catch it right now while it's going down. I would want it to restabilize at the 20 EMA. I'm for sure looking for a position on AMD once again once it gets down there. So, okay, so can you analyze BILI, which is my ticker choice? Also, I think it may be a good time to visit IQ, as surprisingly, it still does not fall back to the support. Instead, it keeps going higher. By the way, TVIX is doing reverse split tomorrow. Okay, that's interesting. All right, BILI. Samuel, here you go. Okay, whoa. Did this one just come out? BILI Incorporated. Okay. All right. So you can imagine for this one, let me see what the percentage gain on this is. Oh, it's a lot. For this one, looks like it just went public in March, and we've been continuously going higher. In my opinion, we just don't have enough information in terms of trends or technical analysis to make a smart move right now. If you really wanted to take a position, I would caution you, look at this triple top that we made right here. We're under the 20 EMA all of a sudden, right? Has this ever happened? No, right? We've never had two candles under the 20 EMA. So all of a sudden we're under the 20 EMA. I almost can give this a more bearish sign, except that it's hard to determine where to sell because this is on an uptrend. So if you're trying to short sell this one. So in my opinion, I don't think it's the time to take a position on this one, nor a short sell position. This is just something we have to wait for it to play out. And once it starts recovering back on the uptrend, perhaps look into taking a position, but certainly not right now, given its, what is its volume on this guy? Oh, 2 million. Okay, so it's not bad on a daily volume, but yeah, certainly not right now. You can imagine on the daily chart or 1 year chart, look how overextended, and now we can easily come back to the 20 EMA before going back up. So let's wait on this one. Can you look at SFIX, please, Terry? Sure thing. SFIX, is that SFIX? Oh, yeah, okay, SFIX. We've looked at this one before, and the thing that was concerning, right? We went under the support. We found support here, which isn't really a support at all, but it found a support this time, so we can say that this was a support. But it went down over, wait, is it earnings? Is that why? My goodness. Okay, so it went down 4.65%, but managed to recover pretty much what it lost today. Okay, that's based off of earnings. That's one thing. Okay, so you see what happened during earnings on this day? We had some crazy volatile movement, and it doesn't matter what happens in the next 4 hours once the market opens tomorrow, but it came on back down. So that's interesting, right? So this is something that we want to follow, we want to take a look at, but not actively invest in. Because we're on this horizontal pattern, we broke this bottom here, and we made this bottom down here. these bottoms down here. Yep. This is not something I would actively invest in, given that earnings just came out and people might be starting to sell tomorrow, and they could sell below the support and come down again. They could say, oh, the news was bullish and we can go up again. It's just this is more like a 50-50 shot because of earnings, and just not something I would want to go in right now. Yep, but interesting pattern. All right. DJSIN. So much money in VIX shorts should be interesting these next 2 weeks. Yeah, it was interesting today, right? Okay. IS, thanks to the answer for GASL. I believe it's like a wild horse. We'll focus on more safe stock. Love the videos. Thank you for watching these videos. Lang, great video as always. Might you look into Ford? I've been waiting to get in, and I think I missed my chance for a great deal. All right, let's take a look at ticker F. So Ford went up another 0.5% today. Okay, so let me adjust these lines. I looked at Ford, as you can see, a long ways back when it was doing that. So this is a pretty clear-cut sign what it's doing right now. Okay. So Ford, obviously a very bullish pattern, higher highs, higher lows. At the same time, we managed to catch it at the support, which is the white line now, okay? So the best time, I agree with you completely, Lang, is that this is not the best time to buy right now, right? We're making highs, but where's the next resistance? My goodness, are we close to the major resistance? The major resistance is right here and right here. So actually, I want to mark it, pretty much box it in around this area. Show you where the resistance is. Here's the resistance. We crossed over the pretty much, you know, at the resistance right now, resistance zone, I want to call it. And because the potential for profit, you know, even if we break this resistance, right, the potential for profit is right here, what, 3%? Versus your potential for loss is greater than 3%. Not the optimal risk-to-reward ratio that we're looking for. So Ford is not something that I'm actively looking at right now until it manages to get back to $11.54 once it starts coming down. So yeah, good analysis on that one. You pretty much did the analysis for me. Addy boy, can you please look at AEP? Thanks. Yes, sir. Okay, so here's AEP. Let's look at the 1-year chart. 3-year chart. Okay, so you can imagine what people were looking at, right? Looking at the 3-year chart, we were expecting to bounce off of the 150 SMA or the orange line. What happened? Trick, fooled, right? We got to this area. People were expecting it for a continuation move higher, and now we're below this 150 SMA, and now we're at the 200 SMA, the red line. Can't be very bullish about this pattern. This pattern, look at this magnitude of the drop. Can't really say that this is a bull flag pattern given this drop right here, and then we managed only to recover this area. So yeah, not something I would actively invest in right now, given that we're declining, making lower highs. At the same time, we broke the major support area, and now we're going lower. We're looking for support at around 60.87, possibly. Around that area, possibly a little higher. But around this area is where we're looking for that support to be. And you can imagine at that area, we're going to be breaking under the 200 SMA. So just not something I would actively invest in. Short selling or buying at this point, because I can see it going up, but at the same time I can see it falling a little more than that. So okay, will you please go over Rizwan BRK or BRB? Let's take a look at BRK. So let's see, what did you say? Wait, what is that? BRK, what is BRB? What is BRKB? So I'm not sure what that is, but if you can go over that ticker really quickly, I'd be more than happy to look at that. Let me just this. Oh, Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, so yeah, so this is a good trend. Unfortunately, right now, you guys can see this, right? Bull flag pattern. But this flag pattern can continue on significantly more longer, right? We're looking at the weekly chart. It's been fluctuating around this area. It could still occur. Given its bullish streak for so long, what period was that? 1 year, 2 years, right? We just started now consolidating around this area. I can almost argue that this is a good short sell. I wouldn't argue that because we can still break out anytime, but you can imagine how we can still consolidate longer around this area before we potentially break out. So let's wait on this one. I like the trend. It's just not the time, in my opinion, right now. Okay, so all right. Any other tickers that you guys? I think that's it. Yeah, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video as always. Like and subscribe to this video if you want to. And yeah, we went over some interesting patterns today. So for now, what are we looking for the markets? As a recap, we're looking for markets to either climb over or start consolidating at the current support and resistance levels. So you might be like, well, Kevin, aren't those the two options always? But I'm arguing that because we're at this critical juncture where support and resistance, but overall, we are definitely bullish. So if anything, look for those entry points when markets start dipping. All right, that's it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. And yeah, happy trading and see you guys on Sunday for another Stock Talk.